Title: Things That Go Bump on Screen. Jake Wilkins had always considered himself a film aficionado. While other kids his age were hustling through high school life, he was deeply entrenched in the worlds created by directors and writers, losing himself in tales of horror, adventure, and romance. His basement was curated like a shrine to cinema. Posters of iconic movies plastered the walls, shelves laden with DVDs, and a massive flat-screen TV sat at the center, awaiting all-night movie marathons. One fateful evening as a storm raged outside, Jake settled in for a frightful double feature of slasher flicks and ghost stories. He had turned off the lights, draping himself in a blanket to heighten the atmosphere. Just as he pressed play, the power flickered, the screen filled with static, and the lights began to dim. "Perfect timing," Jake muttered, rolling his eyes. But before he could get up to check the circuit box, the screen pulsed, glowing brighter as if alive. The static crackled into thunderous whispers, the low, chilling sound gripping him like a vice. Suddenly, with a blinding flash, characters from the film sprang forth from the screen. His eyes widened as the first figure stepped out, the haunting visage of Sarah, the ghostly protagonist from his favorite horror film, Revenant. Her eyes were hollow, her hair wild, and a moan escaped her lips. "Jake," she whispered in a voice that slithered around him. "Help us." Then came Freddy Krueger, claws gleaming under the dim light, Michael Myers, brute silence lingering in close pursuit, and a flurry of other figures from the depths of his countless viewings. They filled his basement, making shadows of the room seem all the more menacing. Jake was frozen, too astonished to scream, not yet understanding the nightmare that was unfurling. "Why have you summoned us?" screamed Pennywise, skipping with malicious glee, his laughter echoing maniacally. "You wanted thrills. You wanted terror. Now, feel what you ask for." With that proclamation, Jake's heart sank. His beloved film characters weren't friendly spirits, but malevolent souls seeking vengeance on a life that had trivialized their horrors. They surged toward him, teeth bared and weapons raised. He was nothing more than the unintentional architect of their chaotic release. "Clever kid, ain't he?" laughed the Joker, juggling knives nonchalantly. "Let us teach him how it feels to really live in a horror movie." Jake scrambled backward, knocking over a stack of DVDs. The loud clatter startled the advancing figures, giving him just the chance he needed. He bolted for the stairs, adrenaline surging as his mind raced. He had to survive. He had to find a way to send them back. Frantic, he dashed into the kitchen, rifling through drawers as shadows crept ever closer. A way out, a way to turn them back, he thought, desperate. On the counter, he spotted a silver box, the remote for the TV. A crazy idea manifested. Could it work? With hope edging on insanity, he grabbed it and raced back to the living room. Panting, he pointed the remote toward the throng of villains. "Go back," he shouted, pressing every button furiously. For a moment, nothing happened, and dread hung heavy. But the characters began to hesitate, their features warping slightly, as if the screen was pulling them back. "Oh, playtime isn't over yet, sweet Jake," screeched the ghost face from Scream, lunging at him. Heart-pounding, Jake fought back fear and pressed the play button again. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from the TV, enveloping all the characters. They screamed and writhed, distortion consuming them as their bodies flickered. "No," came the chorus, a cacophony of roars and pleading as they were drawn back toward the screen. With one final push, Jake cried out, "Back to your world," as the light swallowed them whole. The living room shook, bits of static sparking violently like fireworks, until with a resounding crash, the screen emitted a final flash. Silence fell. Jake collapsed onto the floor, panting heavily. He stared at the TV, which now showed nothing but a serene blank screen. The storm outside raged on, lightning casting eerie shadows in the room, yet it all felt calm compared to the chaos that had just unfolded. Determined it wouldn't happen again, Jake yanked the plug from the wall and sat in the cold darkness, heart racing but relieved, until a faint whisper cut through the silence. "Jake," his hair prickled as his heart sank once more. He turned, eyes wide, facing the empty screen where a flickering image of Sarah now bathed in ghostly light awaited, hunger evident in her hollow eyes.